Months, they move more frequently and more readily. So dusk is the time, their activity period, I guess you could say. And if they're going, in this case, east to west, they're going to cross this road. The road keeps the heat, and the snakes find that they like that warmth, and they really soak it up.
As he cruises, Joe keeps his eyes peeled. He can only guess what size beast he'll find in his headlights.
Oh yeah, baby, we're gonna see him.
Most creatures, including humans, eventually stop growing. But pythons can keep growing as long as they live.
There are several species that don't seem to have a maximum size. And if the individual of that species is lucky enough to live long enough, they just continue to grow until they die.
It's a phenomenon known as indeterminate growth, and it's another clue to python size potential. In the wild, they can live up to 25 years, growing every year. In captivity, they can live over 30 years and potentially grow even longer. The Captive Python program at the Columbus Zoo in Columbus, Ohio, offers a laboratory for giant snake size potential. Here, one contender for world's longest python is about to be examined and exercised. Meet Fluffy, a captive reticulated python.
We have a number of python species here at the zoo, but Fluffy by far is our largest species. She's quite impressive and in fact may hold the world record.
Born in 1992, a private breeder fed Fluffy rabbits, goats, and pigs. Fueled by massive weekly meals, her growth skyrocketed. By the time she was 10, she was as long as a truck and as thick as a telephone pole.
Her length of record at the time she came to us was 24 feet. She's about as long as 3 basketball players standing on each other's shoulders.
When Fluffy first came to the zoo in 2007, she was officially the world's longest captive python and weighed roughly 136 kilos. Zookeepers feared she was too heavy. Now, to maintain proper weight, Fluffy's fed a carefully monitored diet.
We feed Fluffy about every 21 days. The thing we need to watch out for is besides putting that food into growth, they also put it into fat. We need to be careful that they don't get overweight and out of condition.
Because they're opportunistic feeders, they will eat whenever given the opportunity. If you keep feeding a snake with slow growth rate, you're just going to end up with a fat snake.
To stay healthy, pythons like Fluffy also require optimum humidity and temperature.
In a captive situation, it's important to give them a gradient, anywhere from the high 70s into the 90s. One of the ways that snakes regulate their metabolism is by moving into hotter or colder areas. For instance, if they had a food prey they wanted to digest, they'll seek out a place where they're optimum temperature so that they can get that done.
When it comes time to feed powerful constrictors like pythons, zoo staff is always cautious. One way they stay safe is by working with pythons' natural intelligence.
Pythons are very intelligent animals. They do recognize individual keepers. They know and will respond differently to different keepers. We do have feeding cues that we do for different purposes when we're working with Fluffy. If we're going to be cleaning her exhibit, changing her water, her pool, that sort of thing, we try to do those mainly in the morning. She's used to those activities occurring at a certain time of day. And then, in the afternoon is generally when we try to feed her.
Yet even with a python's intelligence, there's always the potential for a surprise strike.
We are very aware of the fact that she's not a pet, she's not a domestic animal, she's still a wild animal. So we always have a great amount of respect when we're dealing with her. We have to be very deliberate and slow in our movements and our motions with her.
failing to take proper precautions can be deadly. In 1997, at Serpent Safari in Gurnee, Illinois, reptile zoo owner Lou Dodano enters a 7-meter-long python's cage. Trying to replace a light bulb, it nearly cost him his life. The large predator strikes, clamping onto his leg and coiling around his torso. The crushing pressure stops Lou's heart. Just in time, his colleague and an emergency medical team pull Lou free and resuscitate him. And here at the Columbus Zoo, the team faces the same risks handling Fluffy.
We have a minimum of two keepers that work with her at any given time. We also have, just for safety purposes, a standby team of 3 whenever we're working with that animal, which we do on a daily basis. But if we're going to be doing an exercise session or an enrichment session with her, we'll have a minimum of about 8 people it takes us to get hands-on with her.
In addition to a carefully monitored feeding schedule, Fluffy's taken out for exercise.
Because her meals are regular, she's not as motivated to move. The reason why we take her out and exercise her periodically is because we're concerned that she's just not getting enough exercise.
Fluffy's immense size makes moving her difficult. Her strength makes it risky. Beneath her scaly skin, powerful muscles run the length of her entire body.
As you're holding her, you can feel all of those muscles in her body. Those muscles push against us as we're holding her, and you can feel her muscles move from one side of her body to the other as she's trying to do that serpentine motion. Her muscles are very strong and can easily move us about while we're carrying her.
Here, the team weighs and measures her.
What was it like? 99.4 kilograms. 99.4.
Almost 100 kilograms. Next, using twine and a tape measure, the team tries to gauge her length.
When we measure these guys, it's very difficult to get a very accurate measurement without anesthetizing the snake because they have such strong muscles and they're in constant motion. She's not just gonna sit there still for us. She was measured today 20 feet 1 inches long.
Before letting her loose, Dr. Barry gives Fluffy her annual physical exam.
Most of the time, hopefully, a health check is just a visit to give a once-over to the animal and just make sure that we're not seeing any signs of disease, that the eyes are normal. Just sort of feel down the animal to see if we can detect anything, any abnormal bumps, the quality of the skin, etc.
Good shape.
Finally, the team releases Fluffy in the zoo's elephant enclosure.
It's a large space, she can move around. It also provides an opportunity for enrichment. There's novel smells. Obviously, you can imagine an elephant smell is not something she's exposed to every day, so it gives her something to explore. The more exercise we can get her, the better. It's good for her, it's good for her heart, just like it's good for our heart to get out and exercise.
At just 18 years old, Fluffy stretches over 6 meters. In captivity, she can continue growing for 10 or more years and ultimately shatter the record for python size. For now, zoo staff can only guess how big she can get. While increased availability of prey, superior hunting skill, and indeterminate growth help pythons feed and grow larger, a truly essential key to their size potential is a hospitable habitat, and it starts with temperature. For snakes, temperature and size are inextricably linked. Cold-blooded animals, known as ectotherms, depend on external heat to hunt, feed, and stay alive.
More mammals will have the ability to endothermically thermoregulate. They can control their body temperature. Snakes can't do that, so they have to regulate their temperature based on their environment.
It's a simple equation, but it may offer a clue to python's future dimensions. For ideal growth, a python's environment must stay consistently warm. If a snake's body temperature falls too low, it can kill them. Burmese pythons also thrive in an aquatic environment. While smaller pythons are good climbers and often prefer the cover of trees, for large pythons, water offers a fast lane to their next meal.
Just think of an animal that weighs 200 pounds without arms and legs. To get around is a tough business. So a lot of big pythons like to be around water. You know, it makes them more buoyant, it makes them get from point A to point B with less energy and quicker.
Pythons can stay submerged for 30 minutes and travel over 9 kilometers. And with ample space and no natural predators, when they reach adult sizes, they're free to move, feed, and grow. Some Burmese pythons have even been known to target the Everglades' reigning alpha reptile, the this back into Burmese size.
Spot at the time. Nick was there.